Yo, yo, yo.
Hey, hey.
What?
What up? Hello, everybody out there in YouTube land. Monica, Tex, how was y'all's day? Let's start ladies first, of course.
It's Friday, so it can't be all bad, right? It's
This is
the end of my work week and it's payday.
yeah. Tex, how you doing today, brother?
I'm good, man. I did a very, very interesting interview over on the Blinds and Booze channel.
I missed it.
Um,
I was busy talking.
am I talking? Yeah, I'm
Yeah, I
talking.
was busy. I was on the phone with my buddy, but yeah, I missed the whole thing because we're trying to. It's his birthday, so we were trying to figure out a place to go eat tomorrow and going over reviews for seafood spots in Austin.
Hmm.
So what did you touch down on there?
The guy was from Sweden. His name's Joe Phoenix, and he's the Dogman ambassador for Sweden.
Okay,
Mm-hmm.
awesome.
Okay.
The dog man ambassador.
Can I be
Yeah,
the ferry ambassador for North Texas?
whatever you want, girl. It was it was an interesting conversation. I mean, it really was. I mean, he communicates with Dogman, and I mean,
He
hell of a nice
communicates with
guy.
dog
Hell,
man.
hell of a nice. Do what?
Like he communicates with dog man.
Like, mind speaks for me or
Mine
whatever.
Mind speak. Okay, I was gonna say. All right, cool.
They're over there signing to each other. Yeah.
Or just being like, like those
Like
people
when you
from.
talk to your dog when he's annoyed.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I
I talk
mean,
gas.
okay, again, not my personal bag, but I also am not having these experiences, so
Well, and that's what I told him. It's I'm not. I've never experienced anything like it, but I have dear friends that have those experiences. I said I'm not going to blow them off.
sure.
You know. So, and I told him, I said, I'm not before the show. I told him, I said, I'm not going to rake you over the coals. I said, but I'm, I might ask some hard questions. I mean, because they need to be asked. But yeah, me, him, and then Rob jumped in. We had a great conversation. I'm going to have him on my show. So,
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Dude, it's funny. I actually taught. Speaking of dogs, whatever. Um, I convinced my son because there's no way Jen's gonna let me have a freaking dog, because she's a cat chick. So I've been like horrible as it sounds. I've been working on my kid because she can't say no to him. So I'm like, let's get one of those big
Yeah,
fat
she can.
bulldogs with the under. She doesn't though, with like the big underbite and the tongue
The
hanging
English
out.
bulldogs.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
he's like, yeah. So he's been pressing her for it for a hot minute now, and I'm like, sweet, somebody's finally on my team.
oh,
Oh,
JoJo says, she struggled to believe that guy. Well, and I'm with you, JoJo. I mean, but he understands that. That's one thing I respected about the guy. He knows that people think he's out there, right? But he doesn't have a problem getting this stuff, talking about this stuff. He knows he's going to take some heat, and but
And
he can have a conversation about it, even with somebody that's not on board with him. Which I respect. Um,
mhm.
whether I believe him or not is neither here nor there. It still makes for a fantastic conversation. You know, so
yeah, absolutely. Yeah, and sticking to your guns is respectable within itself,
it's
especially
very.
when everything ends, or
What's
everything pushes against you.
Stinky? What are you talking about? Send me the
Do you
It,
link.
want
Send
it
me the link.
Ellie to come
it's
on?
a
The answer is
it's a
no.
it's a troll. He
Oh,
does this every so
Oh,
often.
here. Okay.
Yeah, it's. I think I know I think I know exactly who it is. But I can't say for a fact, so I won't speculate. But so tonight we're gonna do a continuation of last night from Monica's show, which was connection between the missing 411 and the cave systems. If I'm
Yeah.
Yeah, right. Yeah. So I don't remember where we left off, but wherever we want to pick up, if y'all
Talking
got.
about you.
No, we were talking about, well, you were talking about how the cave systems can stretch from Texas to
Yeah.
Kentucky over to what, Georgia and up,
Oh yeah.
or Tennessee and
Um,
up?
yeah, well, from Texas over to Kentucky, Tennessee, and I think all the way almost up to Maine,
Right.
if I'm not mistaken. Yeah.
But then we were talking about individual cases too, because I mean, just the ones that stand out to us from the missing 411, or even
Yeah.
just doesn't even have to be that, just whatever's coming to light from national parks. But obviously, Paulides has done the research on a lot of it, so those are the stories that I think a lot of people are referencing when they're talking about this.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah,
So
he's pretty much got the market cornered on that.
Yeah.
can either one of y'all pull up the overlay map of the missing 411 versus the cave systems in North America? Because I could, but I'm going to be doing this very slowly, and it's not. And I know y'all.
I'm trying to figure out if Tex is typing or not. His screen is getting brighter, so he's doing something.
There's something happening.
I'm looking stuff up, but it's not what y'all are talking about.
Okay. I got it. Do I want to know what you're looking up?
Yeah, I do. So, big giant.
I'm doing
cave.
homework. Doing homework for Donnie Cho's show, the Bigfoot erotica show.
That sounds right up his alley.
Sweet.
That sounds right up his alley.
Yep.
Okay, hold on. And I will do an overlay.
Better than an underlay. I mean,
I don't know.
I did find
I don't know.
interesting
You did find what? Well,
on the
where-
National Parks page. They have a list of cold cases.
Oh, that's cool.
See,
It
that one.
did not save. I see why. Never mind.
That's what weirded me out because on the Pilates one, Pilates.
Polites.
Yeah, he works out a lot. No, but because I remember when I first got into his channel, he was talking about how they tell them that they don't keep record on any of it or missing people.
Right,
Yeah.
right.
Well, see,
I remember that.
and I'm wondering if maybe they made this because of the pressure that brought.
So here we go.
Yeah. See?
Meow. So
See, now there's not that many missing in Texas is because we're heavily armed.
Well, and I see most of the missing is right around our southern border there.
Right, yeah. That's
why
totally
is that?
different. That's
Why
for
is
another
that?
show.
That's a Can you spell cartel?
Yeah, that's another story altogether.
I was talking to somebody who was telling a story about going across the border and they do this and that across the border and then come back. And I was like, no,
No.
no, no, they'd
And
find my headless corpse in a mass grave. No, I'm good. I don't need that
No, I
there is
remember it was.
nothing I
in my
need to
life. I don't
go.
need that too.
There's nothing I need that bad to go to Mexico.
Yeah, I got
Nothing like-
margaritas
Across the
here.
border.
I got news for you folks. We're not liked
We're not liked in a lot of places.
anywhere. Anywhere these days.
You're Canadian. So especially right now, because we are tanking everybody's markets. Say you're Canadian and put an A at the end of everything you say. A.
Hey,
Well, I mean, you know it's bad when Canadians don't like you. You know?
Yeah.
Mickey G got the reference. Had to beat them in with their own shoes. All he wanted a bowl full of brown M&Ms. So we had to go to this little sweet shop. Nah, sorry. But yeah, so I do find that overlay very interesting because it does seem like a high activity, especially towards when you get from the Mammoth Cave area all the way up towards Maine. You know, I think
that's basically the Appalachian Trail. I mean,
Yeah. I
True.
mean, the PCT also, right?
yeah.
what
That
the
goes the Pacific
is the
Coast
P-
Trail. It's the West
Oh.
Coast version of the Appalachian Trail.
Okay, all right, I'm back on board. All right.
And it goes basically from like Southern California all the way up.
Okay,
I
like Oregon.
Like Washington. Like
Oh,
up,
okay.
up, all the way up. Like I don't think it ends in where does it end? To be honest,
yeah,
I don't know where
Washington
it ends.
is
I'm not
in
gonna lie,
Florida.
I don't know where it ends, but I know it goes like all the states up. I want to say it ends somewhere in Washington. I could be wrong. Like I said, I'm not 100% sure, but it's long. It's long and straight, Breezy.
I
See
like a
how much
little
I
bit
can
of a
get him to
curve
laugh.
I like a little bit of curve myself, but that's just me.
You like to curve yourself?
I
You
mean,
know,
it's kind of
me and one of my best friends, we were talking about we were looking at I think we were at a knife shop, if I remember right, or gun show or something. We was talking about swords, and we picked up these couple of swords, and I said, "Ha, mine's bigger." He goes, "Yes, but mine's got an elegant curve."
like a gentleman.
Did he have a katana?
So okay, so on the map thing, what I was noticing is that the missing 411 versus the cavernous systems wasn't as hot and heavy on the like New Mexico, from like southern tip of New Mexico upward. So I'm wondering, like, what Corey was talking about is, could that be more like a shapeshifter territory or a what do you call them? What's the word we're not supposed to use all the time? When we're Native Americans.
The
they
flush
tell you don't-
pedestrians.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah.
The what?
That's another name for skinwalkers. Flush pedestrians.
Skinwalker.
No.
Yeah,
You're
there
not
you go.
supposed to say the name. You're not.
Gotcha.
I'll
So
say it in
dressing up
Texas.
like one and going to a big paranormal conference is okay, right?
Huh?
Dressing up like one and going to a paranormal conference is perfectly okay.
I guess if you got kicked out of the program and you're talking about it, you can do whatever you
You're
want.
right.
Depends on where the conference is, I suppose.
I mean, he was full on rocking that bit in.
Oh, at the San Antonio conference.
Yep.
Right on. Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah,
I'm
he
back in
wanted
again.
to. Okay, so the gist of his story was he wanted to be a skinwalker, and he went and found one to initiate him. He figured out what you have to do, which is pretty horrible. Like, to put it mildly, it's horrible. And then he was like, oh, well, I don't want to do that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like telling the hitman, I think I changed my mind.
Right.
You get a refund.
Yeah. I want to be in the gang. Oh, you got to get jumped in. Well, never mind.
Forget it. You think you're going to walk away from? Come on now.
Yeah, like it's going to be something easy. I mean,
Yeah, and then I guess they got mad at him because that's who you want mad at you is
Yeah.
the
Medicine woman. Yeah.
the medicine woman who is a skinwalker.
almost spit
You
my
know,
beer.
yeah, let's yeah,
Yeah.
piss off
F
that
around
person.
and find out.
FAFO, FAFO.
So I am going to post this link because it's a really cool site. It is the Missing Persons Center.
The Center for Missing and Exploited. Almost said wrong one. That's the one I hear about all the time on my true crime shows.
It is the it's the Missing Persons Center is what it .org is what it is.
Okay.
And then where did the other one go? Now this one is the link to the national parks cold cases.
And according to the national park, there's like 2.
Right.
According to this, the last one was in 2019.
Sure.
All right.
Well, I remember in it had to be like at least since 2013. I don't know if y'all remember this, but a dude went missing. I think it was in Yellowstone, either Yellowstone or Yosemite. And they went and searched for freaking days. And the only thing that they found was his shoe, but his foot was still in it.
Oh, well, that sucks.
Yeah. Y'all remember that? Did y'all hear about that?
No,
Remember
I
that
know
one?
about the shoes washing up on the beaches up in the Puget Sound area
Yeah, with feet in them.
with feet in them. Yeah.
Yeah.
But
Yeah, that's
when you're talking about Yellowstone or Yosemite predation, like there's enough wild, like, normal wildlife out there that I don't know. I'm not saying that's not cryptid or paranormal or UFO mixed in there, but there's and people are freaking stupid. I mean, look at the Torons. People are trying to pet bison. All right, these people, if they get out in the backcountry, they're not long for this world. Like they're going to try to pet the kitty. Like they're going to do something stupid, and then their shoe's going to get found with their foot in it.
Well, it's like, okay, so I don't understand. You talk about going unprepared and ill planning and all this kind of stuff, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not beating up the missing guy. Okay, I don't want to do that.
No,
but I'm just using this for an example. This was a poor decision from the get go from from a group from the whole group. Okay, 40 Roberts went missing from the Grand Canyon National Park 2016. 52 years old, 5'11", 170 pounds. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
He became separated from companions during extreme heat conditions while starting a multi-day hike in a remote portion of the Western Grand Canyon on the Shivwitz Plateau. The group planned a 9-day hike that would exit the canyon via the Separation Canyon. He was last seen near Kelly Tank heading towards Trail Canyon 214 Mile Canyon, the Shanley Spring area.
Wander off from the group, or did they leave him behind? Was he injured? I mean, there's a lot of reasons to be separated from a group.
All it says is following a 6-day search and a 6-day intensive search, it's still unsolved.
Hmm. He found
I
the
mean,
G
That's a
Cave
real
cave.
vague, like, that's vague. Like,
yeah,
did the group continue on and not pay attention? Were they not, aware? Was the guide not freaking aware? I assume that there was
right.
somebody in charge if it was a group.
Yeah.
Did he make the
What?
decision willfully to go left when everybody else went straight? I mean, there's a lot of
Exactly.
information that's missing there.
Yeah, there is. Well, there's a lot of information that's missing on a lot of these cases. They
Well,
don't go into
sure,
great
yeah.
detail. But yeah, I mean, you're talking about Yosemite. Here's Peter Jackson from 2016, 74 years old. You know,
Man, I like his movies. What the heck? No
he
more.
was believed to have gone for a day hike from his campsite, but he didn't return. He sent a text message to his son saying that he was on his way to the park on September 26th or September 17th. The vehicle was found at the campground. The camping fees were paid through September 21st. As of
Mhm.
October 2nd, the search for Jackson was placed in continuous limited mode.
Which means a poster on the wall of the cabin when
Yeah,
people check in for their hiking permits.
yeah. In
Yeah.
20, now this was in 2016 when he disappeared. August
Alright.
2019, his backpack was found um, in the Ackerson Meadow Aspen Valley area on the west side of the park.
Okay.
So
Well, I
Smithsonian
mean,
got him.
okay, so he's a certain age and he can be physically fit, but that doesn't, mean that you can run continuously or hike continuously or do strenuous things without something happening,
right,
right? I mean, and
right,
you can be experienced and still like run into adverse weather conditions that you aren't expecting. You can
absolutely.
have a medical event happen. I mean, Julian Sands, who I think, his death last year like went widely untalked about, and I think that that is such a shame because he was such a good actor, but he went hiking in poor
Yep,
conditions and he paid the price for it, and it
yep,
took him a long time to find his body,
yep.
but things like this when I'm hearing about older
Well, didn't it
like
take? It only
solo
took him like
hikers.
3 days to find his body, right?
Who?
The guy you're
Julian?
talking about.
No, it took him months.
Oh, I thought it was like
They had to
three
wait
days.
for it to thaw because he went out. I mean, a blizzard came in while he
Right.
was up on the trails. So it was, I mean, it was like 3 months, I want to say, for them to figure out where he was. Um, but when I hear about solo hikers going up there, I mean, of any age, but in particular when they're a little, they're a higher level in life than I am,
Right.
then I start thinking more natural conditions, whether it's, exposure, medical condition, predation. I'm thinking something a little more natural than,
Yeah.
you know, spooky dooky things.
Well, the I think one of the biggest culprits is just accidents and poor planning, and because I said this on a show the other night. People will walk out in 90-degree weather with a bottle of water,
Yeah.
20-ounce
Right.
bottle of water, and think they're
Yeah.
good. It's like no, no.
Poor planning. Like that's an experience. That is so that I mean, that's just an experience and
Yeah,
a gross underestimating of what it takes to survive.
absolutely.
There's not a water fountain out there along the trails. I mean, you can drink the water out of the stream. I don't recommend it without some sort of filtration system
Yeah, that's why
or
I always got.
purifying system.
One of my main deals is carry a freaking life straw. They're $20 at Walmart.
Yeah.
Learn to read a compass.
Or for the love of God, learn to read a compass.
Yeah,
Yep, because they
Just
prove flat Earth.
rudimentary compass reading. Just
yeah.
and
5 minutes. Five
yeah,
minutes is all it takes.
and a topographical map while you're at it. Like
Yeah,
I
Yeah.
won't go into any backcountry area unless I've ordered a map and I know the terrain I'm walking into, and I have the topographical map in my hand while I'm hiking the trail.
Yeah. No, it's true though. Like even literally, even cats that are driving through, you know from like, Texas, Arizona, going to, California, going through like Death Valley and stuff like that.
Yep,
Like,
66.
yeah. I mean, it's like, dude, you need to have at least a case of water in your freaking car. Like, you can't just be like, oh, we'll hit the next gas station.
Yeah.
No. Yeah, you blow a freaking gasket, literally.
There are some
You're going to
places
be
you better have gas cans in the back of your vehicle if you
exactly.
plan on driving. There's places like that, and people don't understand it.
Well, making do with what you got. Here's a little example. Little life hack, I guess you could call it. So I'm driving to a camp out, which it's not. It was on somebody's land. It wasn't like it was just like Longview or no long. Anyway, it's down south. But so about halfway there, I blow a freeze plug in my truck, and I didn't have nothing.
I don't know what that is, but it sounds serious.
Okay, a freeze plug.
Yeah,
a freeze plug is exactly what it sounds like. It's a plug that goes in that you
in your engine block.
Taps into your engine block, and if your engine freezes, it's supposed to blow out so it doesn't crack your block.
Okay.
Well, my truck was an old truck, and the freeze plug had rusted through, so it blew out. I didn't have anything. I mean, and so what I ended up using I happened to have, because I had some camping gear with me, and I happened to have a shaker of black pepper. Black pepper will clog a leak in your radiator.
Yeah.
And I managed to seal this leak up enough so I babied the truck all the way there, because I was more than halfway there.
Limping
it. Babied the truck all the way there, stopping every chance I got to put water in it. But black pepper will seal a minor leak. I mean, it really wasn't made for what I was doing, but but yeah. So
yeah, there's a few of those black pepper and egg whites. I know egg whites was one back in the day whenever I started getting into vehicles. There's like, oh yeah, if you have to limp it, just pour some egg whites in your radiator and it'll cook an egg and seal the leak. Yeah, but you gotta have eggs. Come here, chicken.
I carry a dozen everywhere I go. I don't know about you, but I carry a carton of egg whites. I plugged a leak in the tire with bubble gum one time.
Okay.
Really? Yeah.
But yeah, just a little bit. And I know it's kind of off track. We kind of got off the rails a little bit, but I'm just
okay. So talking about like ill-prepared people,
right?
Those researchers that they found frozen to death.
Yes.
Did we ever hear anything? Because that was like a big thing for a day or two, and then crickets.
And you can't even find anything on them. I've looked, and it's like a couple of days after they went missing, and it goes dark.
Yeah, like no autopsy reports, no updates from the media that I know of. Like obviously they updated they found the bodies, but there's no follow up to it. Like
I just looked it up, and the latest thing that popped up was December 30th. Well, hell, they went missing on Christmas Eve.
Yeah.
Or Christmas Day.
But it doesn't give, like, I'm just curious, was it exposure? Was it really exposure?
The only thing they say is it was alleged exposure,
Well, yeah, that's why I'm like
suspected exposure.
the medical, right? The ME report. Like, I'm just curious what the cause of
No,
death would have been for that.
yeah,
And I
no,
don't know if there's open records for that, like out of because it was in Oregon, right?
yeah, yeah,
Okay. I don't know if Oregon has like open records where you can request that kind of thing.
yeah. I don't know. I mean, like here in Fort Worth, you can look up you can go to the ME's office website and
Hmm.
look up, just whatever you want for the most part. But I had somebody show up in chat one time, and yeah, JoJo, that's what we're talking about. But and they said that they knew they saw somebody on a show, on some other show, that was their aunt or something, and that what they didn't put out there was that when they were found, they were tore up.
Okay. Did we ever get the guys' names?
Yeah, well, no, we did not.
Yeah.
They
Because
were
I'm
they
just
were
curious. I'm just curious because I mean I've been in this a hot minute, right? Over
yeah.
20 years. I'm just curious if I've heard of them, if they're like if I search them friends of friends, like I'm just curious.
So here's what's out. This is from the U.S. Sun. This is the latest report that popped up. Um, they had set out on Christmas Eve to search for a legendary creature. Blah blah blah. Um, More than 60 people looked for them. They found them. The bodies of a 37 and a 59-year-old man were found
Hmm.
3 days after. 3 days afterwards, their cause of death appeared to be exposure based on weather conditions and ill preparedness.
Yeah, well, appears to be isn't an official cause.
Yeah, right.
Absolutely.
It appears to be a gunshot wound,
It
but who
appears to
knows?
be
Yeah.
bullshit until I see an official document stating otherwise.
But see that kind of stuff even happens, and that's one of the things that makes me curious about how much officials have, play within some of these things. Because okay, like, and I could be mistaken, but remember those? There were like 4 or 5 cats. They were like football fans. I think this was in like Ohio or something, and they found like uh 3 of them or whatever were outside, and exposure got them, but they didn't know why they were, completely outside. They were like watching a football game, and it was like playoffs or something like that. I'm not a sports dude, so I don't know. But yeah, and then like the one dude was sleeping on the couch, and then by the time the police showed up, he's like, I don't know, I've been crashed out, and they're like, yeah, all your homies are frozen outside, basically. Like, why didn't they come and hang out? And the doors weren't locked. It wasn't like, but what I'm getting at is, I guess my conspiracy mind gets into the cover up aspect.
Right.
Like, so if you should, an investigator, or medical examiner, or anything like that should be able to go in and go, oh yeah, they had certain levels of toxins in their system. Maybe they
Yeah.
were,
Right.
maybe they were drinking so much that they didn't realize how cold it was. They went to go sit out in the lawn chairs and,
Right.
suffered from, massive exposure. I think so, OPR. I'm not sure. I followed up on it for like about 2 months, and then I gave up because 2 months is a long time because I talked about this on one of the first podcast shows that I was ever on. So I had to have been like almost 3 years ago. And yeah, it just screamed inadequacy or deliberate
Mhm.
cover up. You know what I mean?
Right.
But it was in like the middle of the city. We're not talking about like cats that were, like in the Appalachian Mountains, and
Right.
yeah, it was like, dude, you can go next door and be like, Can you let me in? Let me call, I'm cold.
Yeah,
You know what I mean?
right.
Like, yeah. Like, I don't know, man. So I think a lot of those, like I was joking earlier about and I shouldn't because, I'm sorry for that dude and his family, but about the Grand Canyon thing, it's like, oh, he must have found G. Kincaid's, cave
Mm.
where,
Right.
the Smithsonian went and ransacked it,
I
because
just
there
I
are
want to go
those.
into places I'm not supposed to go. It's public land, dudes. I want to go there. Like
It
I want to go
is.
into the like part of me is like, let's go into the Superstition Mountains where they're finding headless dead people all over the place. It's like the Nahini Valley of the South.
Right.
And I want to hike in there. But then part of me is like, I kind of like my head on my shoulders. Same thing
Yeah,
Yeah.
with
but I
the
really
Nahini
want to
Valley.
go.
I want to go rafting up in the Nahini Valley. But I
Yeah,
also
me
like my
too.
head on my shoulders. I don't know. Like there's a war inside of Monica.
Yeah.
Well,
Well,
me and you talked about making that trip.
Yeah. You get enough of us together, I'll go. Now, if I start climbing the sides of the cliffs, somebody pull me down, take me home.
No, no. I said,
I
I
leave
saw you
know.
on the
me
news. You
alone.
ain't climbing nothing.
But
Just
no,
saying, something's a little off if Monica's scaling the sides of cliffs in the middle of the night.
right. No, but that's a crazy one too, is because so the Superstitions has the headless thing, right? And that's literally the southern point of the mountain ridge that goes all the way up to the Nahini Valley. So it's connected, Yeah, it's like part of the same system, And I believe that um I forgot the exact pronunciation, but they're like the Delayas or the Dela I want to say Delayas. And then that's the same as the name in the Nahini Valley that they said were like the ghost and the ghost natives that were there before them, the bad guys. But they like both of them, same name, same mountain ridge, with a little curve to it. But yeah, I kidding on
Elegant.
myself.
It was an elegant curve, sir. It's
I'm
an
kidding on
elegant
myself.
But yeah,
But yeah,
I can't find anything on those guys. Nothing.
Yeah, see, that's what I thought. It's like I said, crickets. Like it just dropped
Yeah.
off the map, which is really weird to me.
Yeah.
hmm
And I want to. I mean, I'm curious. Like freedom of information. I
should
would
be.
imagine even if it's redacted, like getting the police reports. And let me tell you, I've requested police reports before. Their redaction, depending on the city, sucks. So they'll redact information on one page, and 5 pages later, that same information is not redacted.
Mm, yeah. No, there's a lot of when it comes to that, and this um, reminds me of so my mom has a book. It's probably 6 to 8 inches thick, and she got it from my grandfather. And it has, starting with the 1900s, it has newspaper articles photographed through the whole thing, so you can see what happened in you know January of 1900, February, all the way through each year, like the main events and stuff. And I was actually looking through that the other day, and uh, there's a lot of stuff in there that we've never heard about, and that if you actually heard about it, or like if someone were to tell you that, you'd be like, "That's the most crazy ish I've ever like what that actually happened." Like one was a riot in, I want to say, it wasn't a riot, it was a protest in, I want to say, like Chicago, and it was like a Nazi protest, and they rounded 72 people up and were like, nope, like get the you're going to jail, son, for being
Get
a
out of here with
freaking
that
Nazi.
BS.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
They need to continue doing that.
exactly.
Be very
Because
pleased that continued on through today.
yeah, exactly. Because we don't, if you're not given the information, or if the information is buried under page 5 of Google or Wikipedia, you know what I mean? You're never going to know it.
Let me tell you, if you're researching anything, you've got to click past the 5th page. I'm not kidding. Like, just keep clicking, keep clicking. And
all right, well, I'll keep clicking. Hang on, let me keep clicking.
Just keep clicking. Just keep clicking.
Just keep clicking. Just keep clicking.
I'm sorry that came out of me. That's a Jen thing, not me. I swear to y'all, listeners, I don't watch that. I've never seen Finding Nemo.
Really?
I'm just joking.
I was going to say, you have kids, dude.
That's why I did the face with the.
Did they have?
That's why I did the face with the drink.
Never have I ever.
Never have I ever.
I always never have I ever seen in Beer Fest. Do you remember that?
Not specifically, but I remember
the house party, and the girl goes, "Never have I ever made out with Coach Wilson." And a couple of girls take a drink, and one of the guys in the background's like,
nice. But yeah, that one always gets my goat is the cover up on it. You know what I mean? And not just the cover up, but the burial of certain things. Like, I guess recently they came out with this one dude did a whole new investigation on the Dyatlov's past, right?
Right.
And it was conclusive that it was it was an avalanche and yada yada yada, and nothing weird about it. But
I'm not saying weird things don't happen on that mountain, but that particular thing, I think, was avalanche.
I mean,
disorientation.
It actually could have been, but there are some weird instances about it, like the dude that climbed the tree and was gnawed off. You know what I mean? Like, what the hell? So
you climbed the tree. That's weird. That's weird. But I mean, people strip down when they're cold too. Like there's a lot of very strange behavior that happens when you're in a hypothermic situation. Like you're not thinking straight.
Yeah, you get
exactly.
Hi, Jackie. And so, they're finding their tongue was missing. Yeah, but they were out there for a minute before they found those bodies. It's not like they came in the next day and all this damage was done. I mean, they had been in the snow for a while, and there are wild animals in the area. And we are food. We are part of the food chain, and we forget that. We forget that living in cities and buying meat in the grocery store. We're 100% part of the food chain.
But see, like, to me, that's a weird thing too, is like kind of like what we were talking about with the feet and the shoes. Like, if I got the munchies, I don't care if there's a wrapper between me and a Reese's cup. I'm gonna get in there and get that Reese's out. You know what I mean? Like so.
Well, but I mean,
shoes not going to stop me.
If it bites a joint and it runs off with the leg bone, it's not going to really care much about the foot that falls off to the side if it's taken off with the rest of the leg, let's say.
Right.
Or the body.
Okay. Well, so when I chopped my finger off, right, I was in the hospital for a couple of days, and then I went out there later to go find my piece of my finger that got chopped off.
The Christian burial.
Yeah, I did. But the husk of it was there, but all the bone and meat on the inside was gone.
I bet it was.
Yeah, I was like, something hollowed out my freaking.
Sure did. It feels nice for thank you, sir.
Yeah, exactly.
We didn't realize it was Thanksgiving.
So it's the same thing with the shoe thing. I mean, you'd think like ants or smaller critters,
Oh,
would have gotten
you're
to it.
saying.
Yeah. That's that's
Well, I mean,
that's
it
where
could
I
have
was
been,
kind of
but I mean, how long was it there? Honestly, I mean, from the time, even though he might have gone missing like a week before, that doesn't mean he died a week before.
This is
Right.
true. Yeah. And there's no way to determine the time of deceased
Well, they
by
could with the foot. They probably
foot.
could.
You think? You
Maybe,
think they actually could?
maybe,
Maybe.
maybe. I mean, what they're going to look at is, um, like, well, there's going to be insects on it. Like, there's going to be ant bites. There's
Right.
going to be larval, whatever
That's what
in there.
I'm
They're going to
saying.
look at like how many generations are there inside of that piece of meat. I mean, for lack of a
Right.
better term, is it skeletal? How desiccated is it? They're
Or,
going to ask a lot of things.
yeah. Or maybe he just had bad foot funk, and even the critters are like, oh no, I'm good on that.
They're
This
like,
dude's been hiking for 12
that smells
hours.
contagious. I don't want it.
You smell almonds? I smell almonds.
Yeah, if you smell or taste the almonds where there should be no almonds,
Yeah.
don't
I
I
got
don't
eat
even
or
news
know what
for
an
drink
you.
the
almond is.
thing.
I don't even know what an almond is, but it's not good.
Well,
Yeah.
if you smell almonds, it's too late anyway.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, I mean,
Huh?
do you think if it's in a drink, if there's enough of it in a beverage, you can smell the almond on it, don't you think? No, it's the
No,
taste.
Um,
no, he's talking about like a wound. Like if
I'm talking about arsenic.
no, I'm talking about arsenic too. That's what I'm talking about. If you smell it, if it's airborne, it's too
It's too
late
late.
anyway. But
yeah.
No, if you smell cheese, it's too late. That's the wound care.
That's it. I gotta go
If you
shower.
smell bread or cheese,
I got to tell you,
maybe it's leaking in the ring.
there is not much in this world that stinks worse than gangrene.
I imagine.
I will guarantee you
Because
that.
that is rotting flesh. So
Yes.
yeah.
I have experienced that on 3 occasions,
Ugh.
Yeah, no.
and it is the
I
most
didn't even.
horrid smell.
Yeah, I like I said, I bet because I know that dead animals stink pretty well, and that's rotting flesh. I can't imagine or flesh rotting off of a live subject smells much better.
It is a. I mean, it is a. The smell of a dead animal is one thing. I mean, it stinks, and everybody goes, "Ooh, something's dead." Whatever. No, when you smell gangrene,
Mm.
it's like, it's. I mean, it's immediate. I mean, it is the most horrible freaking smell. It's indescribable. It's indescribable.
I never
You-
even knew about that until what was that movie? I think it was like Spun or something. It was about all the drug addict kids. Like John Leguizamo was in it, but yeah, the dude was a intravenous drug user, and it gotten to the point and they put him in jail. They busted him, and then they like just go up to talk to him in the cell, and they're like, oh, like no.
Yeah,
And
but track mark get infected.
yeah, exactly. Yeah.
We had
And
to. Go ahead, Bridget.
No, I was just saying I had no clue about that until I saw that, and then I put my brain fragmented and put it all together, and I'm like, that's why in the old westerns they talk about
Yeah. We had to do a prisoner transfer one time when I was running an ambulance, and we met the U.S. Marshals out at Love Field. And when we got there, they opened up the little private jet, and we're supposed to be taking this guy to a long-term care facility, right? So we get there, we go up in the plane, and we're going to load the guy out, and the paramedic on the plane goes, whoa, don't take him off the gurney. We're like, what? Just take the gurney, him, and everything. We're like, what are you talking about? They had plastic sheets duct taped to the gurney,
Oh,
seal off
an
the
attempt to
smell.
seal the smell in.
Because the thing about it is, he had been shot years earlier in the paralyzing him from like the chest down in a drug deal gone bad. Well, and I don't know how this happened, but he violated his probation or his parole. He violated his parole. How does a man paralyzed from the chest down violate parole? But
You ain't running far.
Wrong place, wrong time. If he's hanging out with other felons, that's a
yeah,
violation.
he he had bed sores so bad
Oh,
that he had gotten gangrene. There were maggots in him, the whole 9 yards. And so we just strapped his gurney onto our gurney and took him to this care facility. And when we got there, they were like, "Oh, we can't take this guy." We're like, "No, you're going to take this guy. There's nothing we can do with him. You have
call
to
the
drop
state.
off of a plane, dude." you know. And so we put him in a room, and they said, "Well, y'all got to take him off the gurney." We're like, "All right." So we just pushed the gurney over next to the bed, and he was combative on top of that. So they had him dope up with so much morphine. We kept having to wake him up so he would breathe on the trip bear.
Great.
In there.
And I mean, he was just quit breathing. He had so much morphine in his system. So we put the gurney next to his bed and just pushed him over. And I'm telling you, it was. I mean, the smell was leaking. You could smell it in the ambulance, but it was tolerable, right? But when we broke that seal, oh my God. I mean, it was absolutely horrible. Then I had a buddy of mine that lost his leg, and we went out to get a beer, and he had the wound care thing, the pump, they'll put a pump on it, and he had that going on. And I walked over, he was sitting at the bar, and I don't know, I walked over to him, and I'm like, whoa, dude, you need to go get your leg checked. Sure enough, he had freaking gangrene.
Mm.
So, but yeah, I mean, it is a very distinct smell,
Mm-hmm.
and it's something you'll never freaking forget. Never, once you smell it. It's horrible. But yeah.
I don't want to smell it.
Well, I don't blame you.
Yeah, I'm good. I can go my whole life without that. I'll be good.
Well, yeah, but there's different levels to it. Like anybody who's ever broken an arm or a leg, when you get the cast put on, or even back in the 80s when we used to have the rubber band watches, the Timexes and stuff. You wear that thing for a month without taking it off, and as soon as you do, you're like
No,
that.
okay, that's any watch, because working in the jewelry industry like I did for so long, people would come in occasionally, clients would hand me their watches or whatever, and I'd dump it in the cleaner while they're shopping. This one Rolex that I remember, the man, I don't know if he just wore it for 5 years straight or what was going on, but there was so much dead skin in between the links and the clasp, because it's one of the like fold over clasps, that before I even put it in the cleaning solution, like I couldn't put it. I mean, I think I did end up like dumping it in the cleaning solution. There's a few things that I've come across like that, but this one watch, like the skin was starting to separate from the metal. It looked like a piece of skin coming out of there,
like
and
a
I had
snake
to
shedding
change out the entire cleaning solution in the sonic cleaner thing because it was so gross and it stank so bad because it was like a long time of sweat and dead skin accumulating in there.
Yeah.
That's disgusting.
Yeah.
Now I'll say this: I went on maneuvers when I was, after I got off active duty, I had to do some National Guard stuff, And when I went on maneuvers for 2 weeks at Fort Hood in the middle of freaking July. Well, normally in
That's all you had to
normally
say.
normally in Fort Hood in the middle of July, it rains almost every day for about an hour, just deluge, and then it ramps up to 100+ degrees.
Sauna.
Okay, the freaking mud stinks. Okay,
Yeah.
I was out. I had one shower the whole time I was out there. And when I got my wife came to pick me up at my guard unit, and I got in the cab of the truck, she's like, "Nope." I had to ride in the back of the truck the whole time, the whole way back. This is a woman that worked in a detox unit, okay, for the homeless, okay,
Oh.
and she couldn't stand my stench. I mean, it was bad.
Well, I mean, to be fair, you can get that decomposing organic material in the mud, in the mug.
Yep.
That stinks too, for sure. God damn it.
No,
Every
yeah. So,
weekend I forget to turn those off because my lights are on timers.
Well, it's
but
not
that's like this,
didn't make much of a difference.
right?
Huh?
No, but that's like the same thing. Like, I was thinking about the back again. Once again, I'm not trying to beat a dead horse, but the foot in the shoe, right, or
Right.
multiple feet in multiple shoes.
Mm-hmm.
Like those funk, that we go, oh, that's freaking horrible. Once it starts deteriorating, all the critters and all the insects and stuff, they go, oh, sweet buffet right over there.
Ding, ding, ding,
Like,
ding.
yeah. So it makes me wonder. Yeah, you could go with like animals, pulling the joints apart and blah blah blah, or if you could go to a paranormal aspect, and so if there was, let's say, something that not necessarily carterized, but cut that piece off that has like a radiation aspect, because same with like sugar-free candy. Sugar-free candy smells great, but if you put it in an anthill, they scatter like roaches. They won't go anywhere near it.
Mm-hmm.
So they have senses that we don't have. So if it was a natural thing, you would think that it would be consumed. But if it's an unnatural thing that has like a scent that we don't detect, or some kind of radioactive kind of a thing that we don't see or necessarily detect, but natural organisms and bugs and insects and rodents
Well, I can
might.
tell you that the sugar-free candy, when you ingest it, it also repels all of the air and fluids from your system ahead of it as it's going through your digestive tract.
Yep. Not to mention that it was literally sold as poison. That, and what's the stuff that they put in the fluoride? Fluoride was originally like a insecticide, back in like the 20s and stuff. Yeah. So, and we're like, no, it'll help your teeth. Trust me. No, we used to sell it as roach poison.
Well, look at warfarin that they used. They were using that to poison the hogs with.
Yeah.
Take this for your blood pressure.
Well, yeah, but it's also rat poison.
Right.
Is warfarin the blood thinner?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, it's like, and they're like, oh, it's okay. It won't get it won't affect the environment. What?
Yeah.
You do realize that animals eat other animals when they die, right? You do realize that.
Right?
Yeah. I mean, it was so bad. It was so bad that they if you killed a hog and you went to dress it out, that the way you could tell was it turned the fat layer turquoise.
Okay.
I've heard of
if they
that.
had been into it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I've
But
heard
yeah.
turquoise and I've heard purple too. Like they I knew a guy that worked for a um I guess a processing facility for
Mhm.
pigs. And he was like, yeah, you literally have to skin the purple off of the meat. And I'm like, this purple doing? Like, yeah.
Well,
I mean, it didn't stop me from eating bacon, not by any means, but it's highly suspect. You know,
well, yeah, but I don't know. The purple is like look to me. It's more of a like a bruised purple, you know.
yeah,
So,
yeah, yeah.
but
I like
okay. Well, I'm
Ike.
set.
Go
Go
ahead,
ahead.
go ahead.
No, you go right ahead.
Nah, I was gonna say I like Ike. Don't ask me what a bag of bit of honey will do to your digestive tract. I'm actually very curious because when I was a kid, I loved bit of honeys, and
Oh,
I could eat a whole
probably
bag.
the same thing the sugar-free candy does to your digestive tract, I'm guessing, which is flush out all of the air and all of the liquid. Out, out, everybody out.
I love that stuff, and I saw it actually in the store the other day, and I was like, "Ooh, that!" I actually gave it a box, and I was like, "Oh, a box of bit of honeys, that'd be great." And then it wasn't because of like digestive situations, but I was like, "Oh, that's going to be hell on my teeth."
Yeah,
So
it
I
would
did.
pull my
So I
cats.
didn't get. Yeah, yeah. I'll probably like be chewing it, and the molar pops out. I'm like, "Oh,
Damn it. He went out fighting. He went out the way
yeah,"
he wanted to go out.
with a
Wrapped
bit of
up in a
honey.
piece of bit of honey. Or a now and later. I had that happen when I was a kid. I was chewing on like the old school now and laters, like the hard little squares that you had
Mhm.
to put in your mouth for an hour and a half before it finally dissolved. I remember chewing on it because it would eventually get taffy like, and it pulled the
Mm,
filling out of one of my teeth. That was
mm,
fun.
yeah, no, no. See, that's why I never had fillings. I just bought a white gold grill, so I'm good. Y'all don't want to see what's underneath this.
So I'm 8 pages in, and I have found absolutely nothing.
There you go.
Nothing more than it's the same. It's just the same story repeated over and over and over from December 29th. The latest one I found was like
Oh,
January
on the
2nd.
Bigfoot cats or whatever.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Yeah,
but
okay.
it's the same thing. No,
Yeah,
no, like no variation whatsoever. It's the same,
Just the
public
same
speak.
article, same article. Yeah.
Yeah, there's
yep.
nothing up there.
I'm calling Bigfoot shit.
Something.
Bigfoot shit's like bullshit, but bigger. So
Mm-mm-mm. It's a giant mound of BS.
it's a giant amount of, and see the initials still covered.
It's the same thing, interchangeable. We have the regular
Mhm.
bullshit, and then we have the Bigfoot shit.
The
Yeah.
Bigfoot.
So let's see. I was gonna. Here's a missing one from. See, this is crazy on this national parks. Investigative services is what the page is. It's
Mm-hmm.
the cases, and the like I said, the latest one is February 28th, 2019. It's the last time this thing was updated.
I call Bigfoot shit.
And then from there, you go from 2019 to 2017, 2016, 16, 15, 15,
Yeah, I call
12.
Bigfoot shit on all of that. Yeah.
Like, Huh. Here's all of these cases where this guy. Let's see. I'm going to run the ages down real quick. So this is kind of interesting. 70 years old, 45 years old, 74 years old, 52 years old, 22 years old, 21 years old, 24 years old, 23, 30, and then you hit 8.
Mm.
Hmm. So yeah, there's no what would you call it? Discriminatory
You don't see a
age
pattern in that.
process there. Yeah.
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 Yeah, because I think a lot of that stuff, especially when what we were talking about last night, the older cat where they're flushing the deer out down
Oh,
to
yeah.
them. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, you can be experienced as all get out. You might not be as active or as spry, so to speak. You know what I mean? But
Mm-hmm.
that a lot of that comes with experience. You know exactly. But there's too much weird stuff going on, like the gun leaning on the tree, and his I think it was candy bars or something that he had next. And it's like, dude, I don't. You're not just going to come snatch me, if I'm an experienced hunter, right? And
Right.
literally, you're waiting on game to come through your spot. So you're going to be on point and you're going to be ready and waiting, with pretty much gun in hand, so
Apparently not.
yeah. Well, I mean, unless you're talking like something that scoops you up,
Okay, so
this,
he put his gun down and his snack down because he had to go take a leak behind a tree. I mean, a
and then
predator
you
is
just,
going to wait for an opportunistic moment, especially
Right.
one that potentially recognizes, the big bang stick in your hand,
right. Or aliens. I mean, like that's
Well,
that's kind of where I was. Yeah, that's kind of where I was going with it. It's like, what if it's something that like a Travis Walton kind of a thing, where you're
Yeah, but
chilling
I mean,
there.
there was somebody not that far from him. I'm not saying he was standing right next to him, but the dude was, relatively close, and there were a shit ton of
Right,
people that saw what happened to Travis Walton.
right.
right, yeah. Well, okay, yeah, absolutely right. But I'm just saying, if it was a an abduction opposed to an attack, you know what I
Right.
mean? Like,
Well,
I
yeah, I mean,
can,
I would say it had to be an abduction of some kind,
yeah,
whether it's alien, whether it's some sort of cryptid.
interdimensional or
Yeah,
what? Yeah,
yeah, a portal, let's say, opens up next to the dude and, yoinks, he's pulled in there. Something happened because
Well, I
there
would
was
think
nowhere for him to hide, you know?
yeah,
that if it was something normal, like a normal animal attack or whatever, we would have heard about that. They would have found sign. Okay.
Yeah. There'd be
right.
But
blood. There'd be
There'd
there's
be
something.
nothing.
blood, right? Yeah,
Yeah.
you'd have tracks,
I
you'd
mean,
have
anybody
animal
who's a
Right.
tracks.
tracker would see signs of a struggle. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So that ones like those scream more, um, and I'm not one to go with aliens per se, but like because I'm a more of an interdimensional dude because the Earth is flat and there's no such thing as space, but
Flat yet hollow.
flat yet hollow. It's called Sheol, but yeah. But that screams to me more um, logical, even though it's illogical, right?
Hmm.
Even though it's illogical to the norm because a lot of people don't believe that, but tractor beams, man, we all saw Star Trek. They beamed them up, Scotty.
All seen South Park.
Yeah, exactly. That was one of the funniest South Park episodes I ever saw when I was a kid. Yeah. Where the whole radar comes out of Cartman's butt. He's like, oh, God, you guys, they're here. They're great men. But yeah, so all joking aside and shit. Yeah, so I don't know, man. That one those kind of things inquisinate. Or yeah, inquisinate. There's a new one for you, Tex.
Yeah.
They
Yeah, I love it.
inquisinate my nugget.
Breezyisms.
They inquisinate my nugget. That's what it is. Because
Yeah.
it's
Go ahead.
fingerprintless, you know. And if you brought any old cat out there that knows tracking and knows what animal tracks look like, and they'd be able to, you know, at least half-ass decipher what went down. You know, struggle
Sure.
over here, blood over
Well,
there.
I mean, if something grabbed him, so a typical predator. Let me rephrase that. If a typical predator grabbed him, there would be blood. There would be signs of a struggle. He would have been shouting. The guy that wasn't that far away, I'm sure, could have heard him.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. And same with like and not to bring up, you know, re-talked about rhetoric, but and popular stories, but like the Dennis Martin thing, you know, like to me that kid goes and plays hide and go seek, runs behind a bush, and then you know instantly gone, and no signs of struggle, no signs of footprints running off, no signs of because you can
He was the
actually
one that was going back to the cabin. He was on the trail back to the cabin, and he just didn't make it back to the cabin.
it. I mean, I could be
I know the
wrong,
one
but
you're talking about, but I thought Dennis Martin was the one where he, like I don't know if they were hiking or camping, but he needed something at the cabin, and it wasn't that far away. It was like a couple hundred yards, but he went on the trail back to the cabin and disappeared.
not that I remember. I mean, like I said, I could be wrong, but the way I remember the Dennis Martin story was he was like 2 to 4 years old, and they were like having the picnic out there, and all the kids started playing hide and go seek.
Okay.
He went behind a bush. His dad watched him go and was like, "Oh, he's got a good spot." And then he never came out from the other side of the bush, and they never went over to go check. Never found him. Another family about a couple miles away, don't quote me on the distance, heard a little kid screaming and said that there was a humanoid figure carrying something and running off in
Right.
up the mountain or whatever. Yeah. And yeah, never heard from again. I don't know if Boondock. I don't know if he was autistic or not, but it's just okay. Like if I'm within, let's say even 50 feet from my kid, and something snatches him up, I'm gonna hear, my kid's gonna cry out in fear. You know what I mean? Like, so what you got going on, Tex?
Maps.
Presentations.
That is a missing persons map.
What do the different colors mean?
The tell you just a second.
Where's the key?
The red is children. The red is
What's
children.
in the box?
The red is
Adults.
children. The blue is adults, and green is veterans.
Okay. Seems like the Midwest doesn't really like veterans. That sucks. Okay. And what is the timeline on this? From what year to what year?
Oh shit, I don't know.
She's like, damn it, I want to get
Why you guys text some questions?
I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
It's got to be fairly recent. That's not a whole lot of people.
Yeah, but I mean,
Right.
okay, let's look at this compared to the cave system maps, right? Or let's look at this.
Right.
Like again,
It's
like
It lines up.
especially the AT, right? Right there.
Yeah. It lines
You
up.
can see it very clearly.
Well, even up the California thing. I mean, that
Yeah,
range
the
of mountains right
PCT.
there.
yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
The PCH or PCL or PL
it's the trial.
PYT, the pretty young thing. Yeah,
Well, there is the PCH, but that's a highway.
yeah I know. I'm just being breezy. Yeah.
So, I mean, and let's talk about the Smoky Mountains, the Appalachian Mountains. That's some old real estate.
Oh, absolutely.
I mean, old real estate, like back at Pangea Real Estate. That land's been there. I mean, it's been above water for a long time.
Yeah.
So think of all the things that could be inhabiting that above and below ground.
Yeah.
That's a long time for something to figure out how to hide.
Yeah. Lizard people. I know I make light of it, but I seriously subscribe to it for anybody. Yeah, like I like Ike says the ant people because well, the ant people are more what Navajo Nation ish, right? That's where the ant people come in and they look like the grays, the gray aliens.
Right.
I mean it's
fat head and their big fat eyes.
yeah, and skinny little bodies. Yeah.
That's from Mrs. Rafferty. Ms. Rafferty. Those little stupid guys with their big fat heads and their big fat eyes.
But yeah, I mean, so I think that once we actually figure out the truth, and it'll probably be once we pass to the other plane of existence, we're going to see a big tie-in that holds all of these, like a spider web system.
Right.
It's gonna all the offshoots are going to be the same.
It's all interconnected.
Yeah, interconnected activity. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And
Okay,
yeah,
I'm going to use this opportunity to duck out because I'm yawning a lot and I'm falling asleep. And
no, you're good. It's 11:30. We can go ahead and call it. Yeah, no big deal.
Well, if you guys want to keep talking, like I can dip, but
no, it's all good. I only wanted it to go for about an hour and a half anyway. Yeah, I got work in the morning, so I was like, I'll just do an hour and a half show. I'll be out by 11:30, 11:45. But yeah, no, we'll take this opportunity to make this a continuation. Oh, let me do this. Okay. So next week when I do it, this will only take 2 minutes, Monica, I swear. So I can't show it on here in case of trademark infringement, but I'll play the audio. So when I was talking about the spell of speaking, and this is whenever you call cursing is a curse, you curse people and, yada, yada, yada. A spell is something where ingredients are thrown in to create a spell. So letters individually themselves. Yeah. So this chick, she's got a pretty good rap on it. How you can say one thing and it sounds totally normal, but if you break it down phonically, I guess you could say, phallically. When you break it down phallically, it
has an elegant curve.
Has an elegant curve to it. Yeah, exactly. So yeah, let me just play this, and then I didn't get a chance to do my homework on it. Like I said earlier, if you don't remember, then rewatch the show, and it'll give me another watch. um, okay, here's this check. Check it out.
So what do I mean by the secret spells of the English language? Well, let me share with you what I call our premier life sentence. And it goes something like this. We awake each morning and go off during the weekdays to earn the living at various jobs and undertakings until we come to the weekend. And this seems perfectly acceptable to most people. However, more people die between 6 and 9 on a Monday morning than any other time of the week. So I do what I call a translation of the English language, and I spell that Trance, with the idea that words cast spells. So when you translate that life sentence, you remember that awake is a funeral party for the dead. Mourning is the state you're in when you attend a wake. You would have to be in a weekdays to earn the living, since urns are for the ashes of the dead. We call our jobs undertakings. Job itself is a Hebrew word for persecuted. And what we get at the end of this perverse bargain with life is the weak end of the deal as we become progressively weakened ourselves. And so our most prevalent greeting to each other is hello, the reverse of which is, oh, hell. At first, I suspected the hands of collusion entangling the language to foster illusion. And I think it's quite true that a culture's theology has a great deal to do with a word's etymology and how it evolves over time to combine incompatible meanings that may undermine the original thoughts it was meant to define. But now, I don't think it's planned. For the thing that I've found is that like concepts can gravitate toward the same sound and vibrate at the rate that our thoughts designate. Because words are electromagnetic vibrations whose fine alphabetic tintinnabulations can take on the tint of our true expectations, which they then imprint on our metal of mind, causing sounds to adhere when they're of the same kind.
Yeah. So, yeah, I want to get into that a little bit next time if I can get my shit together enough to do it. But it's pretty cool. I mean, I'm not saying I've subscribed to it 100%, but there is a taste of wanting to know. You know what I mean? Like, huh?
Oh, it's interesting.
That is, yeah.
Yeah, it's interesting for sure.
Yeah,
it's a lot of coincidences. I'll say that much.
Right. Yeah.
You know.
Yep. Absolutely. Well, all right. Well, y'all want to give out any shout outs or what y'all are doing on your next shows or anything like that? Ladies
I
first.
don't plan ahead.
Hell, you're just so rude.
Well,
every show is a seat of my pants. It shows.
Tomorrow I will be on I'll be on Brent show, Paranormal Portal, and then possibly Donnie's show, possibly BMR's show, and let's see, Saturday night. No, your show's on Thursday nights. And then Sunday over on Southern Belle Bigfoot, we're interviewing Greg Ogles. And then Monday on the porch, I'm really, really looking forward to this. I'm hoping she's able to make it. Danielle Stedman from Dogman Diaries, the first person I ever publicly shared my encounter with. And I'm hoping she can make it. And it's going to be fan-freaking-tastic. That's what I got going.
Right. Are you doing a Sunday night, a late night one?
That's the plan, yeah.
Okay. Well,
I knew I was supposed to show up with Monica again. So if you want, if you want, we can do that night owl and continue this whole conversation, not the secret squirrel spell or whatever, but
Bunch of damn squirrels.
but if you want to still talk about the missing stuff, we can keep going with that if you want.
Right on. Well, yeah. I mean, I have nothing planned so far. Like I said, I'm like Monica. I don't even know what the hell we're gonna do Friday. Maybe the stuff, the secret squirrel spells.
Yeah, I mean, I told you I'd do a whole show with you where I can break some stuff down for people. I can give you the directions for very basic things.
Yeah.
And we can talk about it.
Well, all right. Well,
the new book you got, is that what you're talking about?
Do what now?
That new book you got?
Oh yeah, no, those are not basic things, and I'm not giving any of that out. I'm not giving any of that out.
Don't you put that evil on me, Bobby.
Don't you put that evil on me, Ricky Bobby.
All right. Well, to everybody out there, thank you so much for tuning in, and thank the wonderful Monica as always, and my bro Tex, and we shall see you when we see you. So everybody have a good one. Much love. God bless. Keep searching for the truth because it's out there.